So, I want to talk about the new show on Keke Palmer's network called Southern Fried Rice. And by the way, I just dropped a review on the movie One Battle After Another for Neptunian members and patrons. So, if you're interested in watching that, the links to join are in the description box. Now, back to the video. So, Southern Fried Rice is a show written by independent filmmaker Nakia Stevens, and it is about Coco, a Korean girl who was adopted and raised by a Black family. And the show follows her experience attending an HBCU and basically navigating Black culture. Now, this show has been getting a lot of backlash from the Black woman community, and rightfully so, because it is full of anti-Black woman stereotypes and optics. And as someone who likes giving thorough reviews and critiques on film, I wanted to actually watch the show before making this video. And so I sat through all 7 episodes, and thankfully they are very short because the show is as bad as what everyone is saying it is. That is, if you are watching as an intelligent Black woman who knows what they're looking at. And I think the most stereotypical character is the fat, angry, woke, dark-skinned Black woman named Joy, who basically starts bullying Coco as soon as she finds out she's her roommate. And to make matters worse, all of the light-skinned women and Black male characters come to Coco's rescue and defend her against the big, bad, evil, dark-skinned woman bully. Then they threw in the Black baby mama trope by making Coco's cousin, Tammy, pregnant at the age of 17 and unable to attend the first year of college with Coco like she originally planned. I also noticed how most of the Black girls in the show were very hypersexual compared to Coco. Coco also had 2 Black male love interests in the show, but of course, the darkest, most full-featured Black woman on the show has no love interest at all. She's just focused more on being an activist and saving the Black race. So the pro-Black mammy mule trope was definitely in there. They even threw in an Asian savior moment on the last episode where Coco used her privilege to neutralize a white cop that presumably racially profiled her group of Black friends while they were all together in a parking lot. So Nakia Stevens really centered Coco in this show. In my opinion, she gave her the best optics, and she pretty much applied every stereotype she could to the Black woman and girl characters in the show. And it's one thing to create art that's universal to all races of people. It's fine for Black women to create multicultural entertainment that caters to all demographics. I actually think it's smart for Black women to do that, but it doesn't have to be at the expense of your image as a Black woman. Especially now when Black women are flocking to blackety Black shows and movies like Forever on Netflix or Sinners. Nakia did not have to do this to get people to watch. And is there or has there ever been a show produced by an Asian woman that centers a Black woman in a positive light and undermines the Asian characters in the show? I doubt that a show like that exists or ever will exist. Like, Black women don't have to do all of that to attract a universal audience. Even the Asian girlies on TikTok are talking about how they don't like this depiction of themselves.
Why are we at the center of Black stories, in a sense? Like, it doesn't make sense at all. And like, can we let Black people have something? Like, this is not time and place.
So whatever plan Nakia had to attract them backfired because they not feeling it either. And let's just keep it real. Most respectable Asians, they're not going to like a show like this because collectively, they don't want to be associated with Blackness and Black culture. So why would Black people center them in their entertainment? How does this benefit Black people or Black women in any way? It doesn't. And something that most non-Black people do when creating universal entertainment is center themselves. They don't typically undermine their own image like Nakia did. And if they do have unflattering optics of themselves, they usually balance it out with flattering depictions of themselves in the same show or movie or whatever form of entertainment it is. Most non-Black people aren't going to undermine their own group, especially for Black people. Hell, Black men don't even undermine their image in the entertainment they create. They'll undermine Black women women, but not themselves. When black men put multiculturalism in their entertainment, they still very much center black men and make black men look good. Kind of how Ryan Coogler did with Sinners. He didn't really make black men look bad in that movie compared to the other groups. So that's something I think black women can learn from black men and non-black people. It only seems to be black women who haven't learned how to play the game and not undermine themselves and other black women in promotion that they own and control. And I believe it's because of their deep-seated inferiority complex and them living vicariously through non-black and mixed-race women. That's the only way a black woman would think to write a show like this or even participate in it, because I'm holding the black actresses accountable as well. There's no way you would make or participate in something like this if you are not self-hating, and you cannot convince me otherwise. And I saw where black women on X did some research on Nakia, and allegedly she was on there lying about being mixed with Asian back in the day.
Believe it or not, we have more Southern Fried Rice drama. The show's creator, Nakia Stevens, has deleted her Twitter account after people found her old tweets about Asians. I made myself very small so you can pause to read. These tweets are from about 2010 to 2011. In one of her resurfaced tweets, it says, "Your eyes are so slanted, you Asian," and she replies with, "That was a compliment, my dear." She also tweeted, "OMG, I just looked over the course syllabus for my study abroad classes," which, by the way, was in Asia. "Maybe I can pay an Asian to do my homework when I get there." People also found a tweet where Nakia was claiming to be Dominican and Asian and referring to her Dominican accent. However, Twitter also found a tweet where we see that her parents are both African American. Therefore, Nakia is neither Dominican nor is she Asian.
And they found where she posted a picture of her parents who appear to be fully black. Then in another tweet, she was on there talking about how she hopes to make some Asian friends. And listen, there's nothing wrong with wanting friends of different races. I have a very diverse friend group as well. But when you are pretending to be mixed and writing shows, pedestalizing a Korean woman and using her to undermine your black woman characters, that points to something much deeper than wanting non-black friends. That points to internalized anti-blackness and perhaps even a fetishization of Asians. Like, I don't know what's going on with Nakia, but she's looking real sus right now. And to my understanding, she went to an HBCU. And like I've told you guys before in previous videos, HBCU black people can be very anti-black. Please don't let them going to an all-black college or university fool you. HBCU culture and black bourgeoisie or black elite culture is rife with colorism and anti-blackness. And to me, the colorism is just as bad as the racism that exists at many PWIs. So to the young women listening, keep that in mind when choosing where to go to college, or if you're an older black woman, keep that in mind when you're suggesting colleges for your black children, especially if they are dark-skinned girls. The black elite coming from these HBCUs, they can be very ambitious, they can be very successful, which is a good thing, but they are typically very colorist, monocultural, and pro-black men to a fault. So that usually means they are anti-black women, and this unfortunately includes black women themselves. That's why they work against their own best interests. So considering their mindset, of course, they're not going to care about properly promoting black women in the media. They will sacrifice their own image as black women, and that's why even in this show, the black men were promoted a little bit better than the black women, because Nakia is most likely pro-black male and black male identified. Now, the Ralph Lauren Oak Bluffs ad was good, but the HBCU alumni who participated in that, they didn't have full control, which is probably why it turned out decent. Southern Fried Rice is what you get when self-hating black elites have full control. That's just the truth of the matter. And I saw Keke's response to this, and she mentioned black creators and how black women were involved in this production and how we need to support independent black creatives.
I wanted to chop it up real quick about this series called Southern Fried Rice that's premiering on Key TV. That is receiving some controversial feedback. Now, Southern Fried Rice was created by Nakia Stevens, and while I can't speak to her inspiration for the show, I can speak to her dedication as a creative. Look, what you like is subjective, but the support of black creatives is not.
But what is the point of highlighting the importance of having black women creators if they're not going to actually make representation that's beneficial to black women and then undermine black women and what they create? At that point, it's only good for you and your pockets, and that's fine, but don't present it like it's something else. Don't present it like it's something beneficial to us or beneficial for us to support when you're making us look just as bad as every other group that has anti-black woman messaging in their TV shows. We don't have to support black shows just because they're produced and directed directed by black people or black women. That's a very monocultural, mammy way of thinking. The show has to actually be beneficial to our image for us to support it. And I'm not blaming Keke for the show itself because she didn't write it, but she did greenlight it. And it's because she has the same anti-black woman, pro-black male mindset that Nakia has. And when you think about it, it shows up in all of her decisions. Who she chose to procreate with. Then her choosing to interview alleged abusers like Jonathan Majors and fuckboys like Offset. That whole speech she made on Instagram trying to convince black women to date poor men. And now her putting out these tacky ghetto-ass shows and movies. And I will never forget how she basically threw dark-skinned women who were advocating for her under the bus. If you remember, I did a video on this a few years ago. But some of her dark-skinned women fans on Twitter were saying how she deserved more money and visibility. And they talked about how colorism played a part in why Zendaya is more successful. And so Keke basically called dark-skinned women colorist for suggesting that. And she gave the colorist ammunition to go after us for having a quote-unquote victim mentality, when dark-skinned women were simply advocating for her to get more money. Meanwhile, when black women say Beyonce deserves a Grammy instead of Adele, and racism was the reason she didn't get that Grammy, Beyonce said nothing, and she allowed black women to advocate on her behalf. And nobody told black women that they had a victim mentality for bringing up how racism affects Beyonce. Nobody called black women racist for bringing up racism. And as usual, the light-skinned woman allowed black women, especially dark-skinned women, to fight on her behalf. But dark-skinned women won't let other dark-skinned women fight on their behalf. And it's because of our own internalized colorism. So Keke has been giving colorist apologist vibes for a while. She also apologizes for the worst black men in her own way. So of course, she greenlit a project like Southern Fried Rice. She has a pro-black male mammy mindset just like Nakia. And I saw where Nakia responded saying that the black women who critiqued the show were quote-unquote fake intellectuals, but it's actually her who just doesn't have the range for these discussions. For her to actually think that the fat, angry, dark-skinned woman and baby mama tropes would be appropriate to put in a show in 2025, in this social and political climate, it shows how tone-deaf and out of touch she is and how unfamiliar she is with these conversations. Everything about this show was dated, down to the fashions. So she should have at least done some research on her target demographics to see where we're at socially. But because she and Keke aren't socially strategic enough to do that, they had to find out the hard way that nobody wanted this show, not black women and not Asian women. And let's just be honest here, if black women don't watch this, nobody is going to watch it. Because the Korean female collective, they don't give a shit about this show. I mean, the show is on YouTube and y'all don't have to watch it. I actually recommend that you don't watch it. But just go look at the views. Look at the view count of the series compared to the number of subscribers Keke has on her channels. Look at how the views fell from episode 1 to episode 7. That really says it all. The show was basically a flop. So they really need to listen to the critiques that black women have and make improvements instead of being dismissive. If they want to keep black women as an audience and really get that network off the ground. Because listen, it's not Korean women that's going to make the network successful. It's black women who are going to do that for the most part. So I don't know, maybe they need to bring in some more black women creatives who are not so out of touch and who are more current and with the times and really plugged into what's being discussed specifically in black American woman spaces. Because I'm sorry, but this show is given early 2010s, not 2025. So everybody at Key TV needs to catch up and do better. So yeah, that is all I have on this for now. Let me know what you think about this show in the comments. Feel free to point out any stereotypes in the show that you caught that I failed to mention. Also be sure to like this video, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch up with you in the next one.